Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Mercenary Miniature Painter Wargames channel. This is Scott and John here for another game. It's probably going to be this will be our last one before Christmas now, so get your enjoyment in while you can. We've got, this week I've brought my own rats after John had his last week, and he's brought along Grimgore's Ard Boyz, which is the Storm of Chaos version of Orcs and Goblins, which, aside from his cruise, doesn't contain any goblins. So we're playing Zandri Road, which is one of the resurrection scenarios. Essentially, it's the two halves of the road worth 150 points each.
200 points each.
200 points each.
And 100 points where your lord dies, you put a marker if he dies. And if you've got a unit within 3 at the end, you get extra 100 on top of killing him.
Nice one. And other than that, it's just a bit of like a strange inverted deployment, which does make for a little bit more of an interesting game. So just quickly run through the lists. So today my army is led by a warlord. I've got 2 warlock engineers, one over here, and I've got an assassin. I've got 4 units of clan rats. I've got 2 units of 20, so there's one here, one there. That second one has got a rattling gun. I've got 25 here with a warp fire thrower, and I've got 29 on this unit, and they've got full command. The other 3 units have only got musicians. I've got 3 rat ogres, 2 units of 5 poison wind globadiers, 6 gutter runners, and 2 warp lightning cannons. So over to John. What have you got, John? Who's leading your army?
Right, I've cheesed it a bit today because I wanted to change the list up. So I have got a special character with Borgut here. So the Lord is a level 4 shaman. That's why I done it, because I wanted to get the magic on him. The spells he's rolled up is Mork Save Us, Gork will Fix It, Foot of Gork, and Gork's Warpath. And then in the core we've got everything's big guns. So we've got 20 hand weapon shields, full command. We've got Borgut's 24 big guns, double hand weapons, full command. And then another 25 big guns, full command. We've got 8 boar boy big guns, full command. And then we got 2 boar chariots, either flank. 2 bolt throwers. The effigy. And El Gigante over there.
Just explain what the effigy does for anyone who's not played.
It gives you a spell on each of your banners. So the spells I got on my banners was the 25 got with the extra hand weapons over here. They got Bash 'em Lads. The 24 got Here We Go. The other 20 got Here We Go. And the Ard Boyz got Hand of Gork. And basically, if you've got black orcs, if they're fighting, if they're in range of the effigy, the bang level gets higher when you want to cast them. And then it does give you dispel dice. It's pretty handy for 40 points. So that is 2,000 points of Ard Boyz, mate.
Lovely job. Right, shall we roll off for first turn?
I'm on the +1. Woohoo! And we're going first, my friend. Good luck.
Good luck, my friend. Alright, we will return after John's first turn.
Right, turn 1 for the greenskins, and the Borgut cheese is already coming up trumps for me. So, the movement phase, this guy over here has got his 1 shot. Scott, don't roll a misfire.
What are you doing this
time? The giants come behind the hill to obviously protect him from there. Unit of big uns have come to there. Borgut's units come up to there. They've come to there. Pigs have come up to there. Chariots come round to there. And then the shaman has come round to there. So that was movement. Magic. Sorry there. So the shaman, he done Gork's Warpath first of all. I rolled a 13. Scott only rolled a 12.
Yeah, it's Foot of Gork you did first.
Foot of Gork, sorry, yeah. And then I rolled a 1 for how many hits on his rattling gun that was here. And then I rolled a 1, so never killed it. But then I rolled a Gork's Warpath the second time. I rolled a 4, a 5 and a 6, and I had the dangly whatnot, so I changed it to Irresistible Force, plus the 1 to the 5, and then it stamped this rattling gun out Luckily it carried on and I stamped this warpfire thrower out. So that was a pretty successful magic phase. I didn't use any of the bang banners, so that is how Orcs turn 1 ended up. Scott's got a chariot to kill over here turn 2. On turn 1, sorry, onto the Skaven.
Skaven turn 1. Not terrible, but could have gone better in a couple of places. So everything's kind of moved up. Just gone up as a nice block here to try and contest the middle. In the magic phase, I used a power stone to do warp lightning on this guy against the giant, and it went off at some ridiculously high number, so John let it go through, and then I did a nasty 5 wounds, so the giant is just hanging in there now. The other one, John managed to dispel against the Ard Boyz, and the storm demon from this guy also was dispelled, although it's still in play. Shooting, I got my warpstone throwing stars from the assassin, did 1 wound to the chariot over here. Annoyingly though, I failed to blow it up with the warp lightning cannon. This warp lightning cannon had better luck and blew up the chariot on this flank, which was lucky because the poison wind globadiers were mostly out of range and so quite ineffectual this turn. So not bad, got rid of 1 chariot, nearly killed a giant and wounded another chariot. So on to John's turn 2.
Right, Ard Boyz turn 2 was semi-successful. So obviously the chariot charged the warp lightning cannon, he has to flee. These squealing hogs charged these rats, Scott opted to flee. And then everything else just sort of moved forward. And El Gigante come up to here with only 1 wound left. We might be able to get a few terror outs before he goes. Magic phase again. Stamper Stomper was pretty on form. He got the first one off. Scott stopped with 4 dice. And then he got the Warpath one off with Irresistible again. I'd done it on the Warlock Engineer, but then rolled a 1 and I did wound him. So he's wounded now. And then I tried getting the banner off on here. Kind of reminded this guy he had a Dispel Scroll, because they were going to charge the rat ogres in the flank as they got the Hand of Gork. So that one was scrolled and they've used their banner now. So that was that. The shooting, this bolt thrower hit the rat ogres but then just killed a packmaster, and then this one hit up here and I did kill 5 rats through really good rolls, but they didn't panic. So in Scott's turn he's got a few terror checks and panic checks to get through before he can do anything. Let's see how that goes on Rat's turn 2.
Skaven turn 2, not a bad turn. The Plague Monks had to charge the giant, so the Warlord's unit went in as well, because they were closer. They passed their, well, I should say actually first of all, both these 2 units passed their terror tests, which was nice, and he passed his panic test after the clan rats near him were running away. But yeah, we caught the giant and we've ended up here. The clan rats failed to rally, so they're gone now. The warp lightning cannon over here failed to rally, so they were gone. These lot charged the chariot, was here, and the rat ogres charged the Ard Boyz, who fled. So magic phase, I got a storm demon which killed 2 Ard Boyz and then fizzled out, so it won't work again. And I killed 5 of these big uns, and you stopped that one. So not terrible magic phase. Shooting phase, the warp lightning cannon had a beautiful shot, and then of course it was strength 2, so did absolutely nothing. And that was all of my shooting because everything else marched. And then in assault phase, combat phase, sorry, I'm playing 40k. They did 1 wound, and the chariot did nothing back, so it lost by 3 and fled off the board. And I have restrained, so I'm still over here. So that is where we're standing. On to John's turn 3.
Right, turn 3 was a pretty devastating turn for the WA. These boys charged the Plague Monks. These boys charged the Warlord's unit. And these boys charged the Rat Ogres. The Rat Ogres opted to flee. The other 2 both stayed in there. The Ard Boyz rallied, which was dead handy. And then that was that. In the magic phase, I got this banner off. Are you laughing already, Scott? I managed to get this banner off, which give them a round of combat. Scott did try and stop it, but didn't roll high enough. It's a bound 6. And they killed 4 plague monks, taking a rank off nicely. This one I tried doing for the re-rolls, but Scott did manage to stop that on a 7. And then Stamper Stomper had free reign. So he managed to get the first foot of Gork off, and I wiped out the Warlock Engineer, doing the last wound on him. And then in his hubris, he done a big Gork's Warpath, wiped out killed 4 of the Globadiers, and then rolled a 1. And Scott decided to stamp poor old Stamper Stomper to death himself. So Scott rolled a 6 and done, I think, all 6 wounds. So that was in dead, sadly, for the Orcs. But then in the combats, we done, this one was first. I killed 4 plague monks, and then Scott done nothing back. He did do a wound, but he saved it. With outnumber, banner, ranks, and kills, Scott rolled, he broke. And then in this one, knowing full well I was just going to challenge his warlord with a champ, there was no challenges. But I had the banner of butchery on this unit, so they all had +1 attack and their double hand weapons. The unit killed 3, and then Borga with his 5 attacks +1 for the banner of butchery. He had 6, he killed another 4, so 7 in total. And Scott only managed to kill 2 back with the warlord. So with everything, I think I won by 7, and Scott broke. This unit, terrified from the unit breaking, they decided to run. But Scott got away here. But his poor plague monks never got away here. And sorry, he chose to flee with the rat ogres, so they're fleeing. So there's a lot of fleeing troops for Scott now in his turn 3. He needs a lot of rallies, and he's got some decisions to make. So see how that goes.
Well, that was an incredibly short and sweet turn 3 for the Skaven. Nothing rallied. But they did run very, very short distances. So I'm still in, but not really doing very much. The assassin and his unit have moved up over here. These have moved around to be annoying, and these have moved up to try and at least make John consider moving his line around. But I had a wonderful shot over here, and of course I misfired, but thankfully it was the one that just does a blast around me, and it was only strength 1, so he's all good. But yeah, a bit precarious. Can't really say I've got anything to smile about at the moment. So we will see if John can run me down.
On the table,
That's true. That's true. But yeah, on to turn 4.
Right, our turn 4 was short and sweet. These boys charged the warlord's unit. They had to flee, so they off over there. These boys charged the rat ogre unit. They passed their fear check, and they were within range, and the rat ogres rolled a mighty 12, so they ran off the table. Borgut's unit reformed. This unit come up to there. That was all me movement. Shooting, obviously poor old Stamper Stomper's gone now, and I didn't use any other banners. So shooting, the bolt throwers both went for the Globadiers, and both missed. I have been shooting the bolt throwers, but they have been missing. That's why I might not have been saying anything about them in previous turns. That's Orc 4, nice short and sweet. On the Skaven 4, they do actually desperately need some rallies. Over to Scott.
Turn 4, Skaven. Somewhat just barely averting disaster. So thanks to the musician, the warlord rallied, and then thanks to the warlord rallying, these guys rallied. The gutter runners charged this unit here. These guys decided to turn tail and move away. They've moved around. I lined up a juicy shot. Magic. He dispelled my only attempt to cast anything, and then in the shooting phase, obviously with a great shot through most of John's line, I misfired again. It spun around on the spot and fired off a shot into the corner. Combat, I killed 2 orcs and then lost the combat. I forgot that skirmishers don't break ranks because I'm a spaz, and ran away. But John did test to restrain, which he passed, which probably, I mean, he does get a nice charge on this unit now, but he would have caught me had he chased me, I think. But yeah, hey ho. On to turn 5, and I think it's a case of just damage mitigation now for me. I'm just going to try and keep my tears in.
Right, turn 5 for the Orcs. We ain't got a decent scrap from these filthy rats, so we're fighting each other now. So these boys failed their animosity. They were in Arcady, so they've charged them. They had a good dust up. 3 of Orcs died and 1 Boar Boy died back, and they've split up. The rest of the units passed, so these charge those rats who decided to flee, and then these charge those rats who obviously had to opt to hold because they were very close to the table edge. Shooting, both missed again on the Globadiers, and then in the combats I killed 2. Scott done nothing back, but I only won combat by that double 6 you saved your champ really did save you, because I'd have been 2 extra 1. I won combat by 1, and Scott passed his leadership test, so that's how that ends up.
You see the boars?
Yeah, done all that. So that's how that all ended up. So apart from ripping into my own units, it wasn't a very good turn. Scott's turn 5. Let's see, he's got some more rallies to make, and can his Warp Lightning actually shoot this turn?
Oh dear. Right, Rat's turn 5, and it was almost going well. Actually, no, that's not true. There was a lot of bad things happened, but some things went well. So nothing rallied, so they're still running. My warlord ran into this combat, so he jumped out of his own unit, joined the combat. Then in the shooting phase, the Warp Lightning Cannon exploded, so that's 3 misfires on the trot, so good riddance. The Globadiers did kill a pig, and then my warlord redeemed himself. He only did 1 wound, but it was enough to break the big uns. I also killed their champion. They ran away.
He was the one that caught.
He caught them, and although I've forgotten to mention it on camera so far, the 3rd time in a row his Fellblade has wounded him, and he's now dead. So he will lie there as a token. He's completely screwed up any chance of a comeback. So again, sod you. The Fellblade for 85 points is a weapon that basically has more chance of killing you than anything else. I think it's possibly the worst magic item I've added on a general before, so don't expect to see it again. But on to John's final turn to see how much of me you can mop the floor with.
Right, Orcs turn 6, pretty uneventful. Managed to pass all my animosities this time, thank God. These boys charged the clan rats. Scott fled, so that's where they finished up. Just in case any freak scenarios happen that all 4 got killed by shooting, I've just ran them off over there so you can't cause any panics. Borget's units just turned and come that way to take the other half of the road. The bolt throwers did finally kill a Globadier, so that was that, and that is turn 6 for the Orcs. What are all these fleeing ratmen going to do? Over to you, Scott.
Right, short and sweet. Final turn. The gutter runners rallied. They didn't. They ran off the board. They've moved onto the road just to try and contest an objective for a little. No, it's not even preventing a massacre, but chip some points off of John's score. And then I thought, oh, maybe I'll kill a boar, but no, I killed one of my Globadiers with his own globe. So yeah, that was a very, very ratty game. I don't think we need to, but we are going to tally up now, and then we'll come back and say what's happened. Well done, John.
All right, mate. Go on in, Scott. We'll have a flip round tonight.
Oh well, in a stunning turn of events, I've actually I have fully been spanked on this one. So I did actually manage to do a fair bit of damage. 853.
Yeah.
Not the worst, but you got a nice big 500 points for having one section of the road. You've got my general, and you've captured his body, so you can parade it around and do whatever orcs do with fallen rats. And you got one of my banners, so I managed to claim 1 back. But yeah, 500 points up, and then that put you at 2004. So a nice big massacre for the orcs.
Good one for the end of the year for the Orcs. Not so good for the rats.
I mean, in terms of whether or not anything went well for me, not so much, but I enjoyed that. I thought it was fun. Everything happened on both sides. I mean, your general stamped himself to death. Both my lightning cannons let themselves down repeatedly. This one, it had 3 misfires and a strength 2 shot. The pigs charging their own units was funny. But yeah, of course, my general victoriously rallying his whole army only to die of radiation poisoning from his ridiculous 85 point weapon, which is just, I think the fact that it kills you on a 1 or a 2, not just a 1, and you don't get to save against it.
And you've got to do it every turn.
Yeah.
So your opponent knows full well you got it to start with as well.
That's the worst thing. I think I could have absorbed the kills if I'd have maybe could have tricked you into combat with Borga, but because you knew I had it, that was never going to happen. So unfortunately, I think he killed like 3 things, not really much. I mean, he did run down a unit, and
because Borgat's decent in the challenge as well. If I wouldn't have known he'd have had that, I'd have probably taken it with the Warlord.
Yeah.
Because I would he gets special attacks and stuff like that. But yeah, as soon as I knew you had that, I wasn't going anywhere near him.
But yeah, to be honest, like I said before, I've written a silly list. So
losing your weapons teams at turn 1 was pretty massive.
Yeah, that made it.
Warp Fire Flare can cause panics and stuff like that. That was one way that you were going to get my stuff off the table. When I didn't have to worry about that, I could just push forward and not have to worry particularly.
I think also a note was the fact that you rolled 3 irresistible forces in 3.
Stomper Stamper.
He lived up to his name until he didn't.
Mind you, they weren't actually that destructive, because the first one never killed the Rattling gun, and the second one never killed the Warlock. I rolled 1 and a 1.
That is true.
But they were still pretty nasty.
To
got
honest,
rid of what I needed.
The thing that actually did it were the banners, because all my focus was on stopping the other things, and when I forgot about the banners, and when you kicked off over here and got the 4 Plague Monks, I mean, the Plague Monks were probably in trouble anyway, but that just sealed.
But that was the main reason I wanted to cheese it a bit like that, because when you take this list, the banners, you never get them off.
Yeah.
Because your opponent knows, and you've got no dice, really, bar a level 2. So, like I said, they know as soon as you get in the combats, they'll just keep their dice back for it. Whereas when you had good old Stomper Stamper, I can get these off. But
I did also want to just with this list, it was in terms of for you guys watching on the channel, it's to show you don't always have to cram full of Dispel Scrolls. Although definitely, I think you can show that the more expensive magic weapons are probably not worth it most of the time. But it's nice to have a fun game.
No, that Runefang one on the Empire, I used that the other week, didn't I? That one wasn't too bad. That's 100 points, but at least it don't kill you as well.
That is true.
Right, end of the year, mate. Do you want to say Happy Christmas to everyone?
Yeah, Happy Christmas, everyone. John's putting together a little gaming day on the 27th, so we will have a few videos from that, but I might try and get something up next week. It will not be on Wednesday because obviously that's Christmas Day, but we will see what we can do. Maybe chuck some festive video up on Monday. But otherwise, yeah.
We've been chucking them content all the time, Scott. We need a break as well.
Thanks for
the Lucky Devils
watching me get a spanking. Maybe I'll come back next year with a bit more fire in my veins. Get some wins back again.
Right, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Happy Christmas. See you in the new year from the Mercenary Miniature Painter YouTube channel. And ta-da.